sunshine, breezy and warmer. High temperature tomorrow, we're up into the low to mid 80s. Wednesday, partly sunny. Chance of a shower or thunderstorm, 75 to 80. And then get the sweatshirt or the jacket ready. Thursday and Friday, it is going to be noticeably cooler for a couple of days with a fairly strong cold front coming through. From the Weather Center at home.
It's an honor to have you here, Mike Cullums. Justin Keel, you've been on the show before. Introduce yourself and why you're running.
Thanks, Nate. Like Mike said, we're happy to be here, and we're really appreciative for this opportunity to speak with you and your listeners. My name is Justin Keel, as you mentioned. I'm the Republican candidate for County Council District 1. A little bit about me. I am the Town Council President in La Crosse. I've been on the Town Council for 8 years now, 6 years of which as Council President. I'm also the Chairman of the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission this year. We represent 750,000 people throughout Northwest Indiana and oversee a $1.5 billion quadrennial transportation improvement program. And because neither of those things pay the bills, my day job, I'm the owner and publisher of the Regional News and the Westville Indicator. I'm also involved in my community. I'm a member and secretary of the La Crosse Lions Club. I'm a member of the board member of the Westville Chamber. I'm the vice president and one of the co-founders of the South County Community Coalition. I'm involved on the board for Leadership LaPorte County, and involved in so many different other organizations in and throughout LaPorte County. A little bit about why I'm running. I believe we need a strong voice that represents Southern LaPorte County and all of District 1, from LaPorte to La Crosse and everywhere in between. We need someone with a background with fiscal responsibility, who understands how county government works and has the connections and the drive and ambition to do great things for our county. And that's a little bit why I'm running.
All right, let's get to some questions here. So, as our listeners may or may not know, the function of the county council is essentially, to maybe narrow it down a little bit too much, is to control the money of the county, right? They control a lot of that, though they certainly have say for some other things, and their opinions do matter in other areas, but the money in the purse is a big deal with it. So a new jail. We had the sheriff candidates on just a week or two ago. And they both, Democratic and Republican, as has John Boyd talked about, needing a new jail. And it's going to probably likely cost tens of millions of dollars, more than the annual budget of the county, I'm sure. I'll start with Mike, then we'll get to Justin. Mike, do you think this is something important that needs to be prioritized in the next 4 years?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that, as a county councilman, I would encourage the people that I work with in a bipartisan fashion to start planning ahead for things like that. That current jail as it sits right now was initially built in 1977. It was remodeled in 2002. The day that it was remodeled and opened up, we filled it, and we were already out of space. And it stayed that way for a long time. I was a jail commander for a couple of years. I understand the operations of the jail and the importance of the jail. It takes up the majority of the sheriff's budget. It's the largest chunk of the employees at the sheriff's department. And so, yeah, we need to start thinking about it. We should have started thinking about it 4 years ago and planning for it. It's going to cost, that remodel was in the neighborhood of $20 million, give or take $1 million, to put up a new one, which is something that we certainly need to do to make it big enough that we can expand and convenient for everybody. That planning needs to go on now, and it needs to be a hard look because it's going to cost a huge chunk of money to be able to do.
Yeah, Justin, I'll give you the same question.
Absolutely. So, I listened to that podcast actually, for that Sound Off episode, and I think the sheriff's candidates both hit it well in explaining the needs. Mike has explained all the history with it, and absolutely, we need to plan out these large capital expenditures. One of the things I've been campaigning on is I think our county needs a fully detailed capital projects plan so that we're better forecasting how we're going to be spending money on these big projects going forward into the future. We now have funding coming in that will be coming in shortly from the local income tax. We should be figuring out how we're going to spend that on capital projects as well as salary increases, looking out into the future so that we're well prepared.
All right, next question is for you, Justin. We'll start with you anyway, and Mike, you can answer in a little while. But we've got Justin Keel and Mike Cullums, County Council District 1 candidates here in the studio. So, Justin, tell me about this. You obviously, I think the council did reach out to you and your board in La Crosse to ask this question because they wanted the feedback of local government as well. But did you and do you support the approval of the local income tax increase that the county went to for public safety?
Great question. Yeah, so we were approached by some of the, I think, Mayor Dermody and some other members of his staff about this issue, as well as some of the county council members. And I think absolutely that it's important that we be able to fund salaries, competitive salaries for our county employees, and the local income tax was a way to accomplish that. I think my one critique of this would be that if I were in county government when they were doing this, I would have looked to have a more detailed plan about where we planned on spending the money. The need is there, but I think illustrating to taxpayers how we intend on using additional tax revenue is really important so that they trust the system and believe in what we're doing.
Because to clarify a little bit there, Justin, is it because there is extra money that is not allocated right now, correct?
That's correct. That the decision to allocate those funds is going to be happening here in the relatively near future.
Yep. And you guys, whoever wins, will be a part that. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll give you the same question, Mike.
Yeah, nobody's ever going to be in support of raising taxes. Everybody that you talk to wants lower taxes and agree with that. The problem is that public service demands continue. We are looking at a massive expenditure of a new jail. There's lots of other things that go on in the county. There's 1,100 miles of county road, and it costs roughly $1 million to pave a mile of road. Start doing the numbers on that. Not saying that lit tax affects that, but there are huge expenditures out there, and we have to do that, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, through tax revenue. Let me explain to you how important this lit tax is to have. We found out here a couple weeks ago that in the course of the last 7.5 years, 128 people have left the county police department. In the last year, 70 people left emergency medical service. And I know that 911 has suffered a lot of losses. Their numbers are down. The county highway has lost people. But let me tell you about the county police department. There was a lot of people that acknowledged that Bobby Greer left the department. Bobby was a good officer. He'd only worked there about 9 years and took his canine with him. When he went to canine training, that was 6 weeks long, a month and a half that his shift either worked short or we had to pay somebody to work an extra shift. That costs a lot of money. His dog cost $10,000. It's going to cost money to replace him. It'll take a year to replace his service on the county and then add another month and a half onto that for canine training. And currently, if I understood the candidates right when they were talking about it, they're down 6 officers. With only 2 people to apply for those 6 positions. I don't want to be an alarmist, but that's getting near emergency status. And part of it is that the officers don't feel as though they're paid enough. And they're leaving, not for other law enforcement jobs, but completely out of law enforcement because they want to be able to feed their families without having to work second and third jobs. And I don't think it's asking too much for the people that are putting their lives on the line, or in the case of the emergency medical service, the people that are saving our families' lives, to pay them an adequate wage, particularly when you compare them to counties just to the west of us, Porter County. We need it. It's definitely demonstrated by the loss in the numbers of the county employees that are leaving. And I believe that exactly as Justin said, we should plan for what we need to do with it and use it to the maximum benefit and stop the drain.
All right, we've got Justin Keel, Republican, running for LaPorte County Council District 1, and Democrat Mike Kellums, both running. If you've got a question, you can text me at 219-362-0522 or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. As Justin actually mentioned, if you miss an episode, you can get this on the podcast. Just search on Apple or Spotify, or just go to hometownnewsnow.com and you can find it there as well. And all of our past episodes of the show are on there that you can listen to. And if you ever miss a section of the interview with the mayor of LaPorte by the Morning Mayhem, that's on there too. Not sure why you'd want to listen to that over me, but whatever. So we've got Justin Keel and Mike Kellums in the show today. Here's a question we'll start with you, Mike. Many in the city of LaPorte believe a corridor bypass around the city is needed, including some businesses, to get some of the heavy truck traffic away from downtown. Including, and again, the mayor believes this, the city council believes this. At the same time, some county residents, again, you guys, I think, are in your district, have some city and some county, correct?
That's correct.
So you've got both of those. Some residents fear it would disrupt county land and properties and things like this. If there is a corridor, there will need to be financial support from the county in some way, requiring the council's involvement. Where do you stand on a corridor around LaPorte?
I'm not for it. You're partially correct when you say that the county's going to have some skin in the game. They're going to have all the skin in the game. They want this corridor to run strictly through the county property. And I think it's going to be disruptive. When you put a roadway through somebody's living room, when you put a roadway through somebody's farm or family property that's been there for years, that's a major disruption to lives. Do I think that they need to work on a solution? They've been talking about this since the 50s. This isn't something that just came up. Many administrations have talked about doing this. They haven't made any headway. Boyd Boulevard was originally constructed for that purpose. Boyd Boulevard might be able to be used for that very same purpose. But here's the other thing that I have, and I haven't heard anybody answer this question. And I don't fault the mayor for trying to take care of the traffic problems in LaPorte. It's a problem. But the problems that I see don't have anything to do with trucks. It has to do with the traffic pattern. The fact that when these roadways were laid out, there was 1 car per family home, and now there's probably 5 or 6 cars per family home. And one of the burning questions that I get from folks when I talk to them is, he doesn't want truck traffic in downtown LaPorte. How is TSC going to get a delivery? How is Ludwig's? How is any of the businesses that require truck delivery going to get here? Are we going to stop them at the edge of town and hand carry the stuff to the businesses? I don't understand how you're going to prevent truck traffic from coming to downtown LaPorte when you've got businesses that require that. There's Howmet. There's lots and lots of businesses that require truck traffic. I think, just watching, and it was a couple months ago, I was running from downtown LaPorte by the courthouse to Boyd Boulevard. It took me about 12 minutes, almost 15 minutes. Not one semi-truck, not one. The traffic was almost unbearable. The traffic signals are completely out of whack, and I think that's where the problem lies. And I think that they should look at solutions within town before they want to go out and disrupt the lives, the farms, the family properties that this corridor is going to pass through in the county. And
go ahead.
And at a massive cost to the county.
So to summarize that, you are not in favor of diverting traffic away from downtown then?
Not in the manner that they're
in a corridor bypass fashion. Justin, I'll give you the same question. Are you in favor of a proposed? They've got a couple different plans out there, but the plan is to get the traffic. The city wants to get the traffic away through a corridor / bypass. Do you favor that?
I think there's a lot more that needs to be proven about this before I'm ready to jump on board for something like that. Particularly the traffic numbers. What type of benefit is this going to have for downtown, or will it harm downtown? The one area where I would definitely disagree with Mike on would be that how this is getting funded. So right now, these are state highways that are going through. They're funded through funding between the state of Indiana is typically funding about 10 or 20%, and then the remaining is coming through federal transportation dollars. This is something that I work intimately with through NERPC. Invariably, this bypass is going to probably need to be funded by INDOT. This is a over $100 million project. There's no way that the county is going to be ponying up 20% of that.
$180 million, I've even heard.
Yeah, the funds aren't even there for the city or the county to get matching dollars, federal funds. They're going to have to rely on the state of Indiana in order to be able to construct that bypass. So whether or not the council is actually contributing major dollars to make this happen, I'm kind of skeptical about that. I think most of this is really going to have to be spearheaded by INDOT. And even if the roads are relinquished in the downtown, then those are going to fall on the city for the most part to maintain. So I think there's a lot more studying to do on this, and the way that federal transportation projects work, federally funded transportation projects, that is, we still have many, many years to go before we're to the point of constructing this thing.
So then for you to summarize again, it would be a no, not at this point, correct? You're not in support of it? Okay. Mike, go ahead.
Well, just real quickly, tax dollars come from the citizens, whether it's the federal government or the state government or the county government, and that's a concern. Although I do think that Justin hit the nail on the head, we need to see where this impact is going to be, how it's going to come about in long-range planning. Is there a need for it? We haven't seen a study on that, and if there is a study, they haven't talked about it. And again, my question would be, what are you going to do with the semi-trucks that have to make local deliveries?
All right. Well, thank you so much. Justin, this is a question for you that we received. Do you support the removal of Commissioner Rich Merzinski from the LaPorte County Republican Party? And what happens if you get elected and don't fall in line with some of the people in the party? As a Republican myself, again, this is me reading the question, not saying that, I worry that there's not going to be any room for disagreement between Republican elected officials, or they'll face being put out. What is your comment on that?
This is a fun one. This is nice and fresh.
Yeah, this one, for those that might not know, LaPorte County Commissioner Rich Mrzinski did essentially get voted out of his party, correct?
Yeah, I mean, so you're not exactly getting banished from the party per se. It's more that it's, the strong condemnation by the party. I think the fact that it was unanimous by the precinct committeemen that were there speaks a lot to how people felt about it. We're beholden to our voters first, but we should also work together as a team, as a party. And that's how we're able to get things done, is collaborating with our party and with other people across party lines. So,
are you a precinct committee person?
I am.
Did you vote to remove Commissioner Mrzinski then?
Yes, I was one of those unanimous votes.
All right, great. Any other comment on that then, or before I move on? All right.
I don't think so.
All right. Moving on. Here's a question. We'll start with Mike, then go to Justin on this. Question for sign off. Providing results is important to voters. Can Mr. Keel and Mr. Kellum speak as to their previous roles, your previous jobs, or and what results and how they plan to translate that into results on the county? What have you done in the past that have shown that you can get results in the county, essentially? I'll start with you, Mr. Collins.
I appreciate the question. It starts with some basic things. I balance my checkbook. I keep my debt low. I was able to retire at an early age because I managed my debt personally. When it comes to managing big money, I spent a term on the LaPorte Community School Board. We were dealing, back then, it's been 12 years ago, but $55 million budget, $25 million in renewable grants every year. That was in a time period where LaPorte County was going through a terrible tax mess. I know that Mike Schultz had referred to that last week and the troubles that they went through trying to figure that out. And during that same time period, LaPorte Community School Corporation was one of the very few, in fact, it may have been the only one in LaPorte County that didn't have to borrow any money and kept themselves afloat. And we did that with good management. Now, I'd like to be able to say that was all my doing, but it wasn't. It was a managed team event that we were able to do. And I think that that's probably some of the biggest budget management experience. But I also speak to the experience I gained when I was a jail commander. I referred earlier to the jail at the sheriff's department being the largest division within the department and certainly the largest chunk of the sheriff's budget. And we maintained that every year with ever increasing inmate populations, food costs, medical costs. We maintained and never really exceeded, unless there was an emergency, our budget. Those are some of the things that I've worked at in my past that's lent me to the opportunity and the wherewithal to be able to be a county councilman.
All right, I'll give you the same question, Justin. In your past, what are some of the results that are going to help translate, hopefully, to the future on a council?
I'll start in the same fashion that Mike did and start at the personal level. I keep my checkbook balanced. I'm also the one who runs the finances for my business, the Regional News and the Westville Indicator. I do all the day-to-day accounting of things. I'm pretty financially prudent. I'm a savvy financial guy. That is how I bought a paper at age 17. So, moving up into bigger things, though, as town council president, I've been involved in our town budgets for 8 years now. I've worked collaboratively with other council members and our consultants to bring in and save the taxpayers in La Crosse almost $10.3 million. Just for perspective, our annual budget is more like $300,000. So to give an idea how much money that is relative for La Crosse. I'm also involved with NERPC, the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. We oversee all of the federal funds that come into the region for transportation and transit projects. I was treasurer of NERPC several years ago and was in charge of the Finance and Personnel Committee. So I have a lot of experience with large budgets on a regular basis. I think I've been able to deliver results in the organizations I've been involved in the community through South County Community Coalition, getting at early voting site. I helped actually write the petition and get some of the signatures for that initiative. And I've been really active in my community, and I think that sort of thing translates well in terms of connections and experience when you go on to county council.
All right, we're going to take our break for the day because of our technical issues in the beginning. We got a longer segment there. We're going to take our break. We're talking about the LaPorte County Council District 1 race. We've got the candidates in here. Republican Justin Keel, Democrat Mike Kellums. If you have a question, you're welcome to text me at 219-362-0522 or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. We'd love to hear from you. Again, we'll be right back here in a couple minutes. Keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Vote Fagan 2022. Who is Sean Fagan? He's a lawyer. He's a Republican. Sean Fagan, running for LaPorte County Prosecutor, 2022. Sean Fagan knows that LaPorte County is a great place to live, and he wants to keep it that way. Sean Fagan for LaPorte County Prosecutor, 2022. Be safe. Be strong. Let's work together. Vote Sean Fagan, 2022. This message paid for by Fagan for Prosecutor.
Ben Conowitz here, owner of LaPorte Seamless Gutter. My parents started LaPorte Seamless Gutter in 1982 with one goal in mind, really. Our customers' 100% satisfaction. And we are still providing the same customer service that Tim and Seal Conowitz started all those years ago. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com. 219-362-9972.
Hey, have you heard that Castle Ford in Michigan City is now your commercial vehicle center? If you're looking for a truck that works as hard as you do, then visit Castle Ford's Commercial Vehicle Center. From vans and passenger wagons to pickups and cutaways, Castle Ford in Michigan City has a tough and rugged vehicle that can meet your needs. Rough credit or no credit? Ford Credit provides flexible solutions to help get you the commercial truck financing you deserve. Visit CastleFordMichiganCity.com to view inventory and get financed.
The North Shore Health Center's medical team at LaPorte offers a wide range of services, from pediatric care to on-site pharmacy and family practice to substance abuse. North Shore Health's experienced staff are trained to provide comprehensive medical care for the entire family. Walk-ins are always welcome. North Shore Health Clinic in LaPorte also offers COVID vaccines and boosters, annual physicals, and immunizations. Visit northshorehealth.org for more information.
It's back. Ticket Tuesdays are back on 96.7 The Eagle. Be listening every Tuesday during the Morning Mayhem with Joe and Dennis for your chance to win tickets to
an overnight stay at any Red Roof Inn or Washington Park Zoo family passes.
So who doesn't like free stuff? Join Joe and Dennis on the Morning Mayhem every Tuesday between 6 and 9 a.m. for your chance to win during our Ticket Tuesday giveaway, brought to you by LaPorte Community Federal Credit Union and 96.7 The Eagle.
Michiana weather. Highs level off around 78 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Northerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, 54. Tomorrow, high of 84. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. Right now, 74.
We're waiting to hear from you. Dial or text 362-0522 and let us know what you think. That's 362-0522. Back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back, friends, to our final segment of Sound Off today. Good to have you listening with us on the show. Again, if you ever miss an episode, go on to hometownnewsnow.com, or you can find it in wherever you find podcasts at. Today on the show, we've got candidates for LaPorte County Council District 1, Republican Justin Keel, Democrat Mike Kellums. If you've got a question, you can text me at 219-362-0522 or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Be happy to hear from you. We got about 12 minutes left of the show, so you got some time to send in some questions. Here's a question for you. We'll start with you, Justin. What do you plan to do to help cut taxes and help the taxpayers keep their money, and where do you think taxes can be cut?
So there's three ways that we can lower taxes in county government. First one is through cutting the budget. I think that's going to be a little bit of a tough one. There's always areas where you can economize and save a little bit, but that's not going to be the main source of how you're going to lower taxes. Second way is through increasing the assessed value in the county, spreading that tax burden over more people, more taxable value. I believe firmly that we need to do more on economic development, especially in some of our rural communities. Building that tax base is key to lowering it. And then third way is bringing in revenue from other government entities. This could be the state, this could be federal government through grants, working with nonprofit organizations to bring funds in as well. And that can then reduce the amount that you need to collect from local taxpayers. So I'm going to be looking especially at how we can partner with other government entities to bring funds back to LaPorte County, your tax dollars, and bring them back into our county. And also looking at how we can increase assessed value through economic development.
And if I'm hearing you, Justin, then the response more is less cutting budget and more increasing revenue in other creative ways, correct?
Yeah, and I don't want to downplay. I mean, I want to make sure that we are spending our money absolutely how we should, but the most results we're going to get is from the other two.
Great. Mike, I'll give you the same question for you. What can the county do to cut budget, cut taxes, and do you have any ideas from where from?
Sure. So fiscal responsibility is going to be key. I don't know that there's a candidate that runs for any office that isn't going to be in favor of fiscal responsibility. Number one. Number two, and this is the bipartisan type of work that I'm willing to do to roll up my sleeves and get the job done. I agree with what Justin said. Economic development is probably going to be our biggest way. This community thrived back in the 40s and 50s when we had businesses like Alice Chalmers and American Home Foods and Austin All and so many others. And we've lost that over the years, and we need to have that back. I do believe that we are poised for great economic development. I think all the pieces are there. As a county councilman, I would pursue aggressively economic development to the point where maybe we need to look at an outside firm to help us to draw people here. Some of the things LaPorte County has going for it, and a lot of people don't realize this. We talk about truck traffic. Industry is going to go to where the transportation is. And what goes through LaPorte County? US 30, US 6, State Road 2, US 20, I-94, the Indiana Toll Road, the busiest train line in the United States. The Port of Indiana is 20 itty-bitty miles away. That has got to make this area attractive for the big businesses. I don't know if we'll ever get an Alice Chalmers back. I don't know if we'll ever see another American Home Foods. That's the type of businesses we need to bring to raise our tax revenue, exactly what Justin was just talking about, to help offset some of that burden. I think those are some of the things that we need to look at. I think that would be a great goal for a council to get together. And like I said, I'm willing in a very bipartisan fashion to roll up my sleeves and get that work done so that we can do exactly what you asked, lower taxes.
So, and I'll give both of you these questions. I'll start with you, Mike, because you brought it up. Economic development. How would you rate LaPorte County's economic development strategies right now? Do you think there's room for improvement? Do you think they've been doing a good job? Because it is a very competitive. We've had mayors, we've had state reps, and all of them talk about the competition for economic development. Right? How would you rate it? Do you think something that needs to be improved here in the county?
Yeah, I think there's room for improvement. In saying that, I was on the redevelopment commission. I served on the school board. I was appointed to seat on the redevelopment commission and got involved in some of those decisions and watched some of that. And I know they work hard at it. I absolutely do. And I know that the competition's tough. We see these big businesses that are going just across the county line over New Carlisle all the time. They have that because the transportation is there. They have that because the infrastructure is there. I know that the town of New Carlisle makes several hundred, if not $1 million a year just supplying water to the steel mill that's out there. Those are some of the things that we need to look at to be able to draw some of the economic development in. We've got, in my mind, one of the best locations in the world for putting big business, and that's down in the Kingsbury Industrial Park. That's why it was constructed back in the 30s for the war. It's been abandoned since then. There's several businesses down there, but there's plenty of room for growth, and it's an ideal location. You're not putting a big factory in the back of somebody's yard. It's kind of out there isolated, which is why the ordnance plant was put where it was. And again, what's there? US 6, US 35. They lead to the Indiana Toll Road. They lead to I-94. They lead to the train lines that run through the town. I do think that we need to pursue it. We need to pursue economic development aggressively.
Justin, I'll give you the same question. Yep.
I agree with a lot of what Mike said. KIP, absolutely a big opportunity for us, huge opportunity, the way that thing's laid out. Perfect for an industrial park. I think we actually need to spread. I think there's always more to be done about economic development, but I'd like to see us kind of spread this out throughout the whole county. Where we're partnering with communities in, La Crosse, Wanata, Hanna, Union Mills, LaPorte, Michigan City, Rolling Prairie, where we're really working with all of these different communities in order for them to be doing a little bit of the economic development, partnering with the county where applicable, so that way we're kind of pushing in all directions at one time, so that there's more being done. If we concentrate all of our efforts in just the two cities, there's only so much capacity there, and then those other communities get left out, and that's where you end up with more of a divide. So I want to see us kind of push in all directions.
All right, great answers, everyone. We've got Justin Keel and Mike Kellums in the show. They're running for District 1 County Council here in LaPorte. They'll be on your ballot, and so during this next month and a half or so, we're bringing you the candidates that are on your ballot so that you can get to know them a little bit more. Another question for you that we received about the 39 North Conservancy. And so they've got an issue up there with water. And the county could fix the issue by giving essentially $5 million for a water tower. The county doesn't have the money. The Conservancy doesn't have the money. The city of LaPorte has said, listen, we'll actually fund that if you annex into LaPorte. We don't want to do that. And if not, then we're not going to fix that. We don't want to spend any money on areas where that's not in the city. Do you think the county should be more, and I'll start with you, Justin, to give you the first, do you think the county should be more aggressive at fixing that themselves? Or do they run the risk of the annexation issue, which some in that conservancy district aren't in favor of?
I think it's going to be complicated for the county to be able to fully fund things like 39 North Conservancy District's project with, I think you said it was $5 million. There's other communities.
That's a rumor. I mean,
Yeah,
again, I don't
yeah.
have the quote in front of me. So.
There's a lot of other communities that also have needs. I think it's important for the county to chip in and help push that, initiative in all of these different places. But I don't think they're going to be the sole funder. I mean, there's only, so many ARP dollars to go around, and that's a large chunk for the county to fully fund it. So I think looking at a variety of sources. Now, I would like to see the county put maybe some more effort into potentially hiring, say, a grant writer to help these communities or these organizations like 39 North apply for more grants, help give them the assistance to apply for other external funding.
Mike, I'll give you the same question. Yep.
Yeah, not in favor of annexation. I know that they've got an agreement for water supply that's there now, and evidently it's not adequate. I think they need to explore some ways to improve that agreement for the infrastructure that's already there. I know that they've talked about either relaying water lines or putting up a water tower. I know that some people have chosen to sound this alarm bell that, oh, your home is going to burn down because you don't have a good fire hydrant. I vehemently disagree with that. I've got some strong heartstrings for the volunteer fire departments in this community. They serve us very, very well, and I think that reaching and pushing the panic button in an effort to say make people think that annexation has to be done in order to provide adequate fire service. There are 16 fire departments in LaPorte County, and they provide very, very good, adequate service without water lines. Union Mills doesn't have that, and Pleasant Township doesn't have that, and Lincoln Township and Rolling Prairie, Kankakee Township. Those departments don't have water lines. They don't have water towers. They don't have hydrants yet. They're able to do that very, very efficiently. About a month ago, there was a major fire up in Michigan City at an old factory building. And Michigan City Fire Department called in the volunteer fire departments to truck water because they couldn't adequately supply it. I got off on the volunteer fire department kick, but I just am concerned that they raise a panic when the solution is probably out there. Certainly pursuing state funding, leaning on our state representatives, who I think do a very good job for us, leaning on a little bit harder to see if the funding could be there to improve the water service or maybe come up with the water tower if that's what's needed. But in short, I'm not in favor of annexation, and I would encourage the city of LaPorte to work through and fix and along with the Conservancy District, the agreement that they have so that the citizens out there get the representation that they expect.
All right, we'll end with this question. I want to thank you guys both for being on the show today. And we'll start with Mike, and then Justin, you can finish this. What differentiates you, right? We talk a lot, and you guys have even said, we agree on a lot of stuff, which is always good to hear. Honestly, it's always good to hear that when candidates agree. But obviously, you're two different candidates, running from two different parties, running for two different backgrounds, two different generations, if I may. What differentiates yourself from each other, and why should people vote for you?
Well, I would have to say that my level of public service speaks for itself. I have been involved in public service for 35 years. I can do nothing but compliment Justin on the start that he's got in his political career. I remember when Justin first got on the town council down in La Crosse. He was 18 years old. I helped him get his first TV interview when they had a big emergency down there. That's right. I respect him for what he's doing. I respect the fact that he's taken the time to run for this important position. But I think life experience matters, and I think that's one of the things that gives me an edge. When I was down in La Crosse in the spring at the Farm Bureau meeting when they had for political candidates, that wasn't my first trip to La Crosse, nor is it to Wanatar, Hanna, or Westville. And I didn't just go down there because I was working as a police officer. I bought into the communities down there. I've been to their basketball games. I've helped them when they've lost their children and passed away, and not just in La Crosse, but all the communities around the 1st District and throughout LaPorte County. It's given me a great perspective of public service. It's given me an opportunity to get to know the people, to know the communities. There's not a road down there that I haven't been on. And there's probably some folks down there that I've made lifelong relationships with, and I think that those life experiences are probably what gives me the advantage in this race. I'm willing to put the work in. I'm willing to do it in a bipartisan fashion. I have nothing but respect for the people that I intend to work with on the county council and all over county government. And I want to be able to bring those experiences that I've had to the county council, and I also want to make sure that I represent and be a strong voice for the southern part of LaPorte County. I hear a lot from folks down there since this campaign has started. We've had some great festivals. We've got more festivals coming up. And I've heard a lot from people that say that we just don't feel as though we're represented this far south. And some of that is the fact that there are parts of this county that are 30 miles away. And it makes it difficult to attend meetings. It makes it difficult to get involved in things. I want to bring that county level of county government and service to them just like somebody would in downtown LaPorte or Michigan City.
All right, Justin, I'll give you the final word too. So again, why should people vote for you, and what differentiates yourself from your opponent?
Just want to say first, thanks for all the nice compliments in there, Mike. You say the sweetest things. I think that he had a lot of good points. There's people in southern LaPorte County that are actually in the farthest southern points of our county. There's people who are closer to 5 other county seats before LaPorte that were that far away sometimes, and having that representation down there. As it sits today, we have 2 council members who live in Michigan City. We have 2 that live in LaPorte, and we have 2 that live in between, and we have just 1 in southern LaPorte County, Councilman Garner. And I think it's important that we have geographic diversity on our county council. Mike talked a little bit about life experience, and I think we have county council members today that have a lot of life experience. We actually have another Mike on county council who's also a sheriff's deputy with similar amount of life experience. And I think it's actually important that we have a diversity of age on county council. This is going to come as a bit of a surprise, but I'm actually closer to the average age of a LaPorte County resident than my opponent or anyone else currently on the county council today. And we talk a lot about retaining young people in our community. And I think if that's our goal, then we should really look at ways that we can get young men and women in their 20s and 30s and involved in county government, making those decisions, shaping the county the way they want to see it, so that they stay and they keep their friends here and they grow their families here. I think I have a proven track record of being involved in southern LaPorte County. Ever since I bought the newspaper, when it matters most, I'm there. I'm there writing about it. I'm there in the community working on initiatives. I'm involved in the organizations long before I was running for county council. I have a track record of getting things done, being a leader, being at the forefront of things, and I think my track record speaks for itself and what I've been able to get done in my 8 years in public service.
Well, Justin Keel, Mike Kellums, it's been an absolute joy to have you in the studio today. I consider you both friends, and I wish you guys luck here in November. Again, you can find their campaigns online. I'm sure just search for them. And if you send a text question in and you didn't get it answered, it's okay. I'm going to send that. I will email it to the candidates, and they can respond online if they would like to those questions, so they have them and they know what their listeners and the candidates' voters are asking. We'll also send the podcast to them as well. So again, thank you so much for listening. On Friday's show, we will have the candidates for County Council District 2 on the show. If you have any other questions for them, you're certainly welcome to give them to me beforehand, or we will